When playing a multiplayer game, I look for a game with a lot of depth or just to mess around with friends. There were a lot of standout games in 2024 that I'll keep going back to for years to come, games loaded with content and with tons of game modes to play and enjoy. If you're interested in single player and co-op games, I have a whole separate list for those in another video. For now, here are the multiplayer games I played ranked for this year. Dragon Ball Project Multi was just a beta that I got to try this year. It's a Dragon Ball MOBA game with not a huge reason to pick it up over other MOBAs besides it being Dragon Ball and matches being fairly short. I don't really play a lot of MOBAs. I had some good times, but they're not as great as some people's playtime would make you think that they are. Unless you are a Dragon Ball and a MOBA diehard fan, I don't really see a reason to play much more of this. Nightmare Kart doesn't feel bad, but I've tried playing this with friends online using Steam's game streaming to a friend service, and it isn't quite good enough to use. To that point, there are a ton of other kart racers that offer built-in online modes, so those just take priority over this when it comes to picking one to play. If you dig the art style and want to try a new kart racer, I can say this is a good one and it is free. Just accept that you're either going to be playing alone or you have to play it physically with other people in person. Killer Clowns from Outer Space has a decent amount of fun to be had. To me, the peak of this genre has been Friday the 13th. I've tried a lot of others in this genre and none really come close. Killer Clowns is unique in the fact that there are multiple killers trying to hunt down the normal players, capturing them and hanging them up from other players that try to rescue them. My main gripe is the clowns are too slow, and in general it feels like it takes too long for anything to really happen in this game. I haven't played this one in a while since its release, but I'll be going back to it and giving it another shot because I think the foundation is pretty solid. Fairy Tail Beach Volleyball Havoc is just dumb fun. The game starts off super basic, but by the end everyone has insane power-ups and it feels like a Mario Party game and how random and insane it can get. That makes the result of the game feel a little random at times, but that's kind of part of the fun of these type of games in my opinion. Star Wars Hunters is a free-to-play third-person hero shooter. It's objective-based, but unlike the others in the genre, it's 4v4 and the matches end pretty quickly. The game tries to get you to buy something constantly, but underneath is a solid mobile hero shooter you can boot up with your friends and play a couple rounds at any time. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is my first Call of Duty since Black Ops 1. I don't have a ton of negatives to say about this game other than some of the new maps. I don't really know what they were thinking for them. If you like some arcadey Twitch shooters, I don't think there are any games I'd recommend more over this one. Online is fun and zombies is good as always. If you have some friends to play with, I'd say it's at least worth getting Game Pass and playing for a month or two. Death Note Killer Within is a social deduction game where the investigators are trying to find Kira, the killer, and Kira is trying to find L, who if they manage to kill will make them win the game. This sounds fairly basic for the genre, but what I found cool about this game is the killer also is a helper, adding a layer of different strategies to take. For example, I was once the helper, and I got Kira the name of L, but the round ended before they could write the name in. So to keep suspicion off of Kira, I purposely incriminated myself in order to get them to vote for me. Then as soon as the next round started, Kira won it. It wasn't the most mind-blowing social deduction game, but for me the original version of Deceit is my favorite, but this is a fun one to throw into rotation if you're into these type of games. The most mind-blowing game to be released this year has to be Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. I had long given up on Marvel vs. Capcom ever coming back, then out of nowhere this game gets announced. And the most insane part is that these are fantastic ports. Diehard fans who are much deeper into these games than I am have swapped to these versions. I love having Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on modern hardware. To be able to conveniently boot these games up is awesome, and to own a physical copy that I didn't need to pay hundreds of dollars for is also a giant bonus. Hero shooters are a dime a dozen. And what's worse is it's hard to find many good ones among the giant pile. Then along came Marvel Rivals, which I think just takes all the good aspects of the genre and ignores the bad. I think if you have a passing interest in hero shooters, then this is the best one in a long while. They did an amazing job making every character feel fun to play and feel powerful. This game being entirely free is also nice, so no need to convince anyone to spend money on a game they might not like. If you don't jive with Marvel Rivals, you can simply uninstall it and nothing financial is lost. I think this is going to be the premier hero shooter for a long time to come. Now, I am not a huge Tekken fan. I'm not the biggest 3D fighting game fan in general, and amongst those, if I wanted to play one, Tekken is normally far down that list. I'm much more into DOA, Rival Schools, or Soul Calibur. But all the reviews and fighting game channels I trust sung this game's praises, and when I tried it, I didn't want to put it down. It's much faster than its predecessors, and they have upped the ridiculous and flashy factor for the whole roster. All the new character additions are fantastic, adding a whole new playstyle to the game, just adding to its depth. I haven't played a ton of this yet, but I'm looking forward to playing some more of this and seeing who they choose to add next. Super Mario Party Jamboree is the best Mario Party since Mario Party 7. It's just peak Mario Party. The minigames, boards, and online game modes are just so fun. It is a must-have for those who love party games. The developers learned a lot from the last two games on Switch, and decided to go out with a bang before moving on to the next system. Under Night In-Birth 2, which I'm just going to refer to as Uni 2 going forward, is really just building on top of an amazing fighting game. For me, Lyn is everything I want in a fighting game character, and thankfully she's bonkers in this fighting game that's tons of fun to play. This game is such a blast. This isn't just one of my favorite multiplayer games of 2024, this is one of my favorite fighting games of all time. The platform fighter genre has had a lot of games added to it recently, when for a long time it was just Super Smash Bros. And PlayStation All-Stars. Now we have Brawlhalla, Fraymakers, Multiverses, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, and of course, Rivals of Aether. Rivals of Aether 2 is basically everything I love about this style of game wrapped into one. It's fast but feels good to control, it's deep but also super simple to get started. It adds more mechanics than any other platform fighter, but it's not overwhelming. Of course, the games I mentioned earlier will always have their place. They have characters that Rivals does not, from existing series that many of us grew up playing and loving. That being said, in terms of mechanics, this is my favorite platform fighter. I could go on a comparison rampage about what I think this game does better than others, but I'm not looking to tear other games down. This game is just awesome, and if you play it, I think the gameplay will speak for itself. Those are the 13 multiplayer games I played this year. I know I missed some key ones, namely Helldivers 2, which I've seen some people say is their game of the year. Any games I missed were either due to lack of my friends being interested, or just I wanted to hold off on games I wasn't completely sure I'd like. That wraps up the games of 2024 that I played, including the 26 that I beat and 6 started single player and co-op games from the last video. That's a total of 45 games I've played in 2024. I learned a lot over the last year and really enjoyed the variety that came with just playing games as they released. I'd like to reach a point where my backlog is complete enough that I can do this in the future. I like looking at the opinions of the games that just came out and seeing what people think is underrated, overrated, and how my opinion compares. I'm going to be making a video about how I'm tackling my backlog this year and what I've learned through previous attempts to finish my backlog. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing this type of thing again for 2025. I'm going to need some time to get my backlog in order, so I feel comfortable buying new games again. I'm only going to be buying game releases from my favorite series. Keep an eye out for that video if it interests you, and if you haven't checked out my other video on single player and co-op games I played in 2024, check that out. Thanks for watching.